Oh, it's Rick Taylor.
My name is Rockz, and I'm rocking with Rick Taylor.
Yo, what's going on, man? It's your boy Rick Taylor, back with another episode of that Rick Taylor podcast. And today is a different episode. I'm here with a special guest. Who am I here with? Rockz?
Rockz.
I'm here with Rockz, man. What's going on?
What's up? What's cracking?
Not much. First and foremost, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for making this possible for me and stuff like that, in this space and stuff like that. This the lady behind the space. And she also like a dope person herself. Like, she's into a lot of things we're going to talk about today. And like pretty much like you've been following the podcast and stuff like that. So for you to come on here is an honor, and switch it up and just talk about some different things and give people some game. So I want to start it off with like let the people know who you are and what do you do.
Sure. So my name is Rockz, or Rocky, and what I do is I am a full-time executive director and co-founder of Your Move MKE, which is a nonprofit on the south side of Milwaukee. And I'm also a realtor, own a real estate company, so Raquel Realty, and I work under the brokerage Next Home My Way. And I help people buy and sell houses, and I'm very passionate about the south side of Milwaukee and edification, real estate development, community development, and helping our Black and brown people get into homes.
Okay, that's dope. Congratulations. Shout out to you with that.
Thank you.
Now, what was your childhood like growing up? Well, first of all, you was born and raised here, right?
Correct.
Okay, now what was your childhood like growing up in Milwaukee?
So I grew up on the south side of Milwaukee. I would say I lived in about 30 different homes on the south side. Our childhood was actually pretty traumatic. Like, I grew up with 5 brothers and sisters. So it was me and four other brothers and sisters. And so I was in the system because we got taken away from our parents. Our family was, so like a household was just a lot of gang addiction, drug addiction, lots of domestic violence, lots of, parents like locking themselves in a room for weeks at a time, eating at homeless shelters, fending for ourselves, like figuring life out at the age of 5. So it was pretty traumatic. Like, we literally made the papers like as an example of child neglect. And I think my mom got like 20 charges. But shout out to moms, because she actually has her master's degree now and like completely changed her life around. And she's a Christian woman now. But yeah, it was a really traumatic childhood. And I think that that's like really what propelled me into, wanting to do something for my community in the South Side. And that's why I'm so passionate about our young people, because I just feel like if somebody would have like caught me at a younger age and helped me learn more, I would be way farther than I am now. Right.
And that's good to like, see where you at now, knowing your story and stuff like that, because people who usually be in those situations, they usually don't sometimes turn out good. Right. Like, what kept you straight growing up, and like what made you, like, instead of just like taking that negative route or just going down a different path, what made you get like stay straight and fly straight?
Hip hop. So like hip hop really saved my life. My brother and I always say, like, I say hip hop saved my life. He says the trades saved his life, because he's in local 19. But hip hop, like, I learned how to just write my emotions. I learned how to, like, because I couldn't communicate, I couldn't talk to people because I didn't understand the feelings I was feeling. But like, as I just fell in love with hip hop and learning how to write songs, record, like all of that, it just really helped me express myself and get it out. And so hip hop really like saved my life. It helped me stay off the streets, because I wanted to be in the booth. I wanted to record. I was on a lot of people don't know, I was signed into a record label when I was like 12. I was on SK, which is was a small studio over on like Greenfield. And then I opened my own label. And then I just really did a lot of music. And that's what kept me like away from the negative scene, was just recording and music. And that's why I think that we use hip hop now to work with youth, because we believe that hip hop, can heal. It's healing.
That's dope, man. That's it's good to hear. I didn't know you did music, until now. So that's dope, man. I'm glad you found something that keep you like, on a positive track and stuff like that, and keep you out of trouble. A lot of people usually don't have that something to go to that they don't know about, or like they never experienced or got out there and see what they can do to keep them out of trouble and stuff. So that's dope, man. Shout out to you. And now let me ask you about like real estate. Like what made you get into that?
So I've always been really passionate about business. Like I think like I said, I owned the record label, then I owned a recording studio for a long time. And then after that, I helped my sons open their businesses. I had other businesses. And I've always been very into business. So as I was at MATC getting my associates in business, I wanted to be creative with how I use my electives. Like a lot of people just take their electives and they're like, oh, we'll take gym, or we'll take this, or we'll take that. I wanted to earn a certificate through those electives. So what I did was I took real estate classes, because then I was including it in my business degree. Like I was already getting 2-in-1. So I took my real estate classes as electives, and I really just learned a lot about real estate. And I was like, wow, I think that what it was when I bought my house in 2016, I was a single mom, right? Had 3 kids. I wasn't doing very well. Like I was working hard, trading my time for money, right? And I always read a lot, and I knew that in order to really be successful, we have to trade our money for money. We can't trade our time for money. Like right. Your time should be your freedom. And so as I bought my house and I went through the process and I started learning about equity and like how I could really come out of a place of poverty through real estate, through having my house, through building up this equity, taking it, buying other properties, multiplying our wealth, leaning on my children, and as they grow into their adulthood, and helping them buy real estate and building generational wealth with our family. I was like, wow, this is something that could really like long-term impact our society, like in our hood, not even our society, like our hoods. Like right. We could be owning these properties, because the pride of ownership, like once you start seeing people own their houses, they start taking care of them. You don't see garbage on the floor. You drive to West Dallas, you drive to Tulsa, you drive to these places, like they take care of the property because they're not renting, right. It's their house. Right. So I just really thought that, my heart has always been in community development, has always been in edifying the community. And I just figured that real estate was a point that I can make the most like substantial difference and long-term effect. And so that's why I got into it.
That's dope, that you learned about that stuff, because I've been doing a lot of things, like a lot of thinking, because, I rent right now. And just to think about the price of rent now is like, this is crazy. Like I might as well be owning a house, I know owning a house come with responsibility, like taxes, mortgages, the rent, taxes and things like that. And you got to fix up things yourself when it goes wrong, but it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, can't nobody take that from you. You can have this house and your family for years to come. Now, let me ask you, what's the pros and cons of you, like for you, when it comes to being a realtor?
The pros and cons. The pros are like, I'm able to control my own time, right? Like any business owner, I'm able to kind of just control when I'm going to do a showing, when I'm going to, have a buyer's consultation, or I can control my schedule. I think that's like the biggest pro for me. I don't think I could ever work for anybody else again in my life, God willing. But the cons for me, I think, are safety, like especially being a woman. And this was what I dealt with as a female rapper as well, was safety, like, which is why I opened my own studio and didn't want to have to like be alone with producers by myself, or like be alone. And, like I was always very conscious of that, because one, you don't want that reputation, but like you also don't want to put yourself in that predicament as a woman. And like I just was always very aware of it. So yeah, I think safety, like, doing showings at like, especially in Milwaukee, it started getting dark at like 8:00 and you're doing a showing and you're on, 6th and Mitchell or something, or like 5th and, like you're in the low end area and you don't know who's in the house. Like, it can be a little intimidating, which is why I actually want to go get my CCW, but then I don't know, because I don't really want to have to use that. But,
right, but it's better be safe than sorry, though.
Facts.
Now, have you ever had a situation like that where you was like showing the house to somebody and they was kind of give you some messed up vibes, like creepy vibes or something?
No, I think that the only thing that I have dealt with, which could be another negative, was I've dealt with like, I don't know if I want to say, I don't know if it was like racism or if it was like prejudice, but like people don't think you're the realtor. Like, right? Oh, because I got red braids or because my hair is yellow or blue,
right.
maybe blue that day. I don't know, whatever it was. But they're like, well, where's the realtor? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you know, I wouldn't be able to open this door or have this app or, you know what I'm saying, if I wasn't a realtor. Or like asking, like, I need to see your credentials. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't ask Bob over there for his credentials. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, go ask Billy for his credentials, bro.
Right.
Like, you know, so I just have had issues like that, like where tenants, like, you know, you go there and the seller is an investor, so he has tenants in the house and the tenant has to show the property. So the tenant is like, well, where's the realtor, you know? And like just situations like that. Right. It's happened to me like about 3 times, but I just try not to take offense, and I'm like, here, you can see I have a showing time app right here, and this is my showing time, and this is my name, here's my business card, whatever. But it does happen.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I'm glad you don't get out, you know, you don't let it affect you too much because you know who you is and stuff like that. How long you been doing this now?
I've only been doing real estate for a year and I think like 8 months. Mm-hmm.
And that's dope. You're doing a good job. I'll be following you. I'll be like, man, she sold another one. She sold another one. That's dope. No. And I'll be like, I just see everything you put up, like the clips and everything, and how you be giving game about like, you know, getting your own place and stuff, like how it's beneficial for you to buy your home and stuff like that, which was going to be a question of mine. I want to know personally, like, do you need good credit? Like, do you have to have like good credit to buy a house?
So yes. You have to have like a certain credit score. A lot of people think you have to have a really high credit score. Not always, because there are like first time home buyers loans, so FHA, where you could have a lower score. But typically the higher your score, the lower your interest rate is. So it's best to work on your credit and have a good credit score before you go ahead and start the process. The one misconception is that people think that they need 20% down or 25% down to buy a house. So that's not always accurate. Like if you're looking at $100,000 house, you don't need $25,000. You'll likely just need $3,000 plus closing costs. So maybe like $6,000 or $7,000. And there's also grants. So, I mean, there's been times that my buyer has come to the table with $86 that they bought the house with, you know?
$86?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. There's like, I mean, one of my buyers got, I think, $26,000 in grant money. My son is 18. When he bought his house at 18, he got $9,500 in grant money. So there's a lot of different ways, you know, to be able to fund your closing costs and your down payment.
You said 18. Mm-hmm. That's what's up. Shout out to your son, man.
Yeah, Nas.
Yeah, shout out Nas. I see you, Nas, man. You're doing a good job, man. Now, is it hard finding grants? How do you find grants? Like, you just got to search them online or something, or how does it work?
I lean on lending a lot. So like I'm a firm believer in like, I help my clients, right? I help them build credit. I also help them with any questions that they have, but I'm a firm believer in like lending, and then I'll do the home buying. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't want to give you mixed information. I don't want your lender to tell you one thing and then I tell you another thing. So, I work with very qualified lenders who are able to help buyers know which programs are good for them, because a lot of the grants are through programs. And so they have to do like a Homebuyers workshop or a virtual workshop or in-person workshop. I work with Summit Credit Union a lot because they have somebody there that will look at your whole portfolio and be like, okay, you can qualify for this, and that, you know, and it's very simple. And then they'll tell you the process and they literally walk with you step by step and tell you what to do. And then of course I'm there every step of the way. But as far as like the lending part of it, that's typically the bank, and the realtor is more or less helping you with like finding the right house, the location, making sure that the windows are good, the foundation, the roof. Like we know, because we've been in inspection after inspection, we know what to look for. And so that's mainly what we do. But I always go above and beyond and still help. Like I'll help my clients credit build up to 6 months to a year before they're even buying. So
Now say that one more time. When you do the inspection, what do they usually look for? The roof?
Yep. So they look for like the roof. You want to make sure that the roof is, not going to need to be replaced like 5 to 8 years or something like that. You want newer windows. So like, well, for instance, the windows in our space here are horrible.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to live in no place like that. But like newer windows, because we're living in Wisconsin, it can get drafty. As well as the foundation. So like the actual walls in the basement, making sure there's no like horizontal cracks or no bulging, or like the wall isn't protruding in, because that could mean buckling, and then you might have to get support beams, which can be rather expensive. And then also the structure of the house, like making sure there's no temporary jacks that are holding up the house, because you want to make sure your house is able to be held up on its own. And those are the main thing. Plumbing as well, but it's kind of hard to tell. Though I always now look at the water line, because I've had some situations where the main water line, you can see like evidence of backup, right? Like, your main water line ends up getting backed up. That can be really expensive, like $25,000 to fix that water line from your house to the street. So you want to make sure that that water line doesn't have any trees. Like, that's another thing I look for, is like trees, because trees can be a problem if they're too close to the house.
Oh, that's cool. You got a lot of knowledge, So I'm about to tap in with you when I'm trying to buy my house,
I got you.
Now, when it comes to the inspections, what is a quote of how much it costs to have an inspector come out and look at the place?
It varies. Like, it varies on what you're looking for with your inspection, because you can get add-ons to your inspection. And also it varies on like the square footage of the house. So if it's a smaller, like 2-3 bedroom house, it could likely be like $450. I've seen them as much as like $680, $700. But you can also add on, like I said, add-ons. You can have somebody look at the main water line. You can have somebody do radon testing. You can have them do all different type of testings that you can add on to there.
That's cool. That's deep. I think because like I'm new to this, so but I plan on buying a house real soon. So I'll be want to know, like, what do I need to know, like the ins and outs. Who do I talk to? And the realtor and the lender. So the realtor and the lender does, because I was told, I don't know how true this is. Do a lender or a realtor, or do a realtor also do what a lender do sometimes?
Sometimes a realtor can have their license to also do like a loan, or I don't think it's a license. I think it's a certificate, but they can, like for instance, the owner of my company that I work for, the brokerage, he's a lender, but he also has his real estate license. A lot of times they're not going to do both, because it's not common for them to do both. It's not, in my opinion, smart to do both. Like I wouldn't do both, because it's kind of like you don't want to be. Let me stop. Okay. I wouldn't do both, because like you don't want to be what is it, like a master of nothing, right? Like an expert of everything, a master of nothing. So like you don't want to have all this information and not be able to like help somebody. It's really important. Like I always tell people, start with the realtor. Like you want to start with the realtor, because a realtor is going to have all the connections. Like I'm able to send you to, I'm able to look at your financial portfolio and say, okay, I have top 3 or 4 lenders I work with.
All right. And
I think your financial portfolio will be good for that lender, or that lender, or that lender. Like if I have somebody that needs grants, I'm likely going to send them to Summit. If I have somebody that doesn't need grants, they have a high income, but they have low assets, like they don't have a lot down payment, then I'm likely going to send them to Ruben with Fairway Mortgage, because he's able to help them with some additional assets to, help, or like a lower down payment, 3% down, something like that. And then also some banks have their own additional grants. Like they have their own funding that they'll provide as well, like small micro type of grants.
Right.
So like I said, just start with the realtor. The realtor is going to help you know the process. Like, so when you're ready to buy a house, you sit down with the real estate agent and they do a buyer's consultation. In the buyer's consultation, we're going to inform you start to finish what it looks like buying a house. We're literally like, I have a circle of cycle. Like, all right, you start here, you go here, you go here. It's a visual. And then I also educate my clients on like terminology, like contingencies. Like that's a kind of big word that people don't really know, right? All it means is like things wrong, right? Like, or like or like if a contingency, like if we have a financing contingency, that means that term has to be met before we can buy the house. So it just means like it's like a term on the contract. But I like to educate my clients, because while you're dealing with a lender, or while you're dealing with a realtor, or while you're dealing with an inspector, like if we're using this terminology, I don't want my clients to feel dumb and not know what's going on. And no question is ever too dumb, because like if I wanted to go buy a spaceship, I'm not going to understand that terminology either.
Right.
You know, so like most people only buy a house maybe one time in their lifetime, and it's a big purchase. So I just like my clients to be fully educated on the whole process.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you cleared that up, because I was going to ask that next, like which one was first, a lender or a realtor? And the fact that you said as a realtor first is good information for me, because I've always wanted to know, what is the steps? Who do I talk to first? Is it because a lot of people think it's difficult to really try to get a house and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I guess it's not as difficult as we think it is and stuff like that.
Right.
You just need like the right, proper information from the right person, like yourself. So if anybody looking to buy a home, this is your lady right here.
I got you. Hit me up.
Now, I'm gonna come back to this question. Let me ask you about the location. Like, so say, for instance, I can be on like a realtor app, like a Zillow or a Shore West or something, looking at houses in different areas. When it's time to look for an area, like, do you go through that same process looking at the apps, or do you just have like a list of like houses that's been like put up for foreclosure and stuff like that, like in your book or something, or on your, you know, that they tell you about, and you just...
Sure. So realtors have access to the multi-listing service. So we pay what's called dues. We pay board dues every year. It's really freaking expensive. But we pay the Greater Milwaukee Association of Realtors. We pay WRA. We pay all of these board dues to be able to access different products and to also support these boards. But in doing that, then we have access to multiple listing service, which is MLS. So if you've ever worked with a realtor, they likely have set you up on MLS. It's a website that only realtors and brokers have access to. And we can show you everything on the live market. So like Realtor, Zillow, all that, those are all delayed listings. Whereas MLS has it like right as soon as it's listed. So when we sign a contract with somebody that says they want to sell their house, we have to list that house within a certain time frame of them signing that contract. And as soon as we list that, it goes out to every realtor and they're able to see it. And most realtors have their buyers set up on like subscriptions, like 3-bedroom house, 1-car garage, attached, not attached, or like all the specifications they want. And then the buyers get like automated emails or text messages or however they have it set up. But we're basically, to answer your question, we're able to see a site that no one else is able to see, and we're able to set you up with that site to have access to that site as well.
Okay, cool. That's good information to know. Let me take it back to the percentage that you put down. Like you said, it depends on like the bedroom, the square feet of the house and stuff like that. It's like, is it usually 10% or is it usually lower? It's just like, what is the difference? Like if it's a 2-story house, 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, you're probably going to put down more because of how big it is?
Oh, no, that was for inspections.
Okay.
Yeah, that was for inspections. But for down payment, it depends on the program you're in. So like there's a program where you could put 3% down. There's a first-time home buyers like FHA loan where you could do 3.5% down. Some of the conventional loans are 5% down. If you're an investor and you're buying your second property, you're likely going to have to put 20% or 25% down. Some of them are 10% down. It depends. So if you're living in the property and it's owner occupied, it's a lot easier to get a lower down payment than if you're buying the property as just an investment.
Okay. Now let me ask you, for a first time home buyer, would you recommend someone joining like a class or something? Like a first time home buyers class or something like that? Or
Yeah, so there are different classes that they can take. Like UCC has classes where you go to 2 different sessions. But like I said, I would always say start with the realtor, because like some people, depending on their financial situation, like I might send them to Summit, and Summit can do all that virtually. Like you take the home buyers course with them. Or some people might not be a good fit for someone, that I might send them somewhere else. And then I tell them, okay, but also when you're talking to this lender, go do these UCC classes, because you can do them do these in person while you're working on your credit or working with the lender or whatever. So it just depends on where you are, and then also what works for you, because like Housing Resource, you can go to an all-day class. Summit Credit Union, they have like an online one that they do. Otherwise, UCC, like I said, is 2 separate classes. So it just depends. But you'd always want to start with your real estate agent or lender and talk about what's the best program for you.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of stuff I'm learning that I didn't know about. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this episode, actually, because I think it's a lot of people like myself that really didn't know this information, and it can be really helpful for them. Mm-hmm. Now, just about somebody watching this episode, they might be interested. Like, oh, I never knew this. Maybe it's time for me to get a home, which brings me to my next question. Like, is there a perfect time to buy a house?
The perfect time to buy a house is now. Mm-hmm. It's always now, because especially if you're renting. If you're renting, like, a lot of people are like, oh my God, the interest rates are so high. They're like 7% or something, right? You're paying 100% of interest rate to your landlord right now. 100%. You're just giving money and you're not getting anything in return. Mm. Like, life is about ROI. Like, what is your return of investment? You're not getting anything back when you're paying rent. You're just giving the money. But when you own a home, you're actually investing into your future. You're paying off your mortgage. You're building your equity. And you're going to end up building generational wealth for your family. So the best time is always now. A lot of people are talking about like the market's going to crash and like all this stuff. I am pretty still new into real estate. I came into the market when it was the craziest it's ever been. No one has, we've never seen a market like this. And that's all I know how to work in. I only know how to work. I only know how to write creative offers. I only know how to help people sell their house creatively, because that's how we've had to do it the last 2 years. It's been a wild market. I don't foresee a crash personally, because everything is continuing to inflate. Tide, Dawn, everything is going to continue to go up, and houses are going to continue to go up. And if mortgage rates do drop down, then what's going to happen is more buyers are going to want to buy now. And now you have supply and demand problem, and your cost of your houses are going to go up even more. So that's my personal opinion. But I would say, we're buying right now. I'll just say that. My sons and I have an investment company. We're buying right now. This is the time to buy right now, in my opinion.
That's good. I like what you're saying, what you're doing with your kids and stuff like that. You teaching them the business as well and getting them in young. So therefore, when they get older, they already have this knowledge and they can pass it down to their kids as well. Mm-hmm. And even to their friends and stuff like that, so they can buy back their neighborhoods and stuff like that. And I think that's dope that you're doing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome that you even got into it. And the reason why you got into it, it doesn't sound like it, and you don't give me a vibe that it was all about money or anything like that. It was literally about the community. Mm-hmm. And I see that you do a lot of things in the community as well with the hip hop and the community. It's like a community center. Is I'm correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's talk about that too. Now, what got you into that?
Mm-hmm. So, Your Move MKE, we started doing a hip hop chess club in 2017. It was myself, Super Ego, and Blade, and we decided to keep doing it organically. And then in 2020, we had a young man, Fabian. 2019, I apologize. We had a young man, Fabian Fabian. He was shot and killed. And at that point, we realized that we had to do more than just a hip hop chess club. It was great. What we were doing was fun, but it wasn't enough. And so we had to create a community center to have a safe space for young people, because there's just not enough programming out here for young people on the South Side specifically to do things and to get away from what's out in the neighborhood, and then also not only that, but meeting young people where they're at and doing things that are fun for them to get them off the streets. So we created Your Move MKE. We made we literally had no idea what we were doing. We made the mission, vision, everything, and we're okay, I created the nonprofit. I did all the paperwork. We put our board in order, and we just moved in our community center in January. And so we run 4 different programs out of there. We do Hip Hop Chess Club. We do Making Moves Breakdancing. We do Restorative Justice Ciphers. And we are starting an Urban Trade Skills to teach youth, Black and Brown youth, about trades and non-traditional employment.
That's dope. That is so dope. That is so dope. Congratulations and shout out to you and your people for doing
Thank
that.
you.
I just love how you like everything you're doing is for community based. Like it's not for no money or no recognition. It's just for the community because you want to make a difference in your neighborhoods and for black and brown kids to know and understand more things and know that there's more to life than just our situation and our our environment, and also just to like buy back your whether it's buying back your neighborhood or just learning a trade. So
Right.
I think that's dope what you're doing. I'm glad you're doing it. So thank you for even doing that and making that contribution to the neighborhood and stuff like that.